How's it going, guys? We are back for MWPA Season 7, Week 4. We're facing against Ronin, who is a formidable opponent. He is the last of the undefeated teams at 3-0, and potentially a playoff opponent if we get that far, because this is only an 8-week season, so 3-0 is a pretty zesty start. And he has a very spooky, scary team with Mew, Tyranitar, Zapdos, Mega Gallade, Skarmory, Drill, Florges, Whimsicott, Goodra, Volcanion, and Crobat. So basically everything can serve a purpose. Everything feels like it could be brought. Like, nothing ever felt useless in this matchup. Like, overall, I just felt like everything was a good bring for him. So I was trying to build a team that encapsulated everything, instead of like, sometimes you can like toss away like some of the lower tiers, or if you have a really good matchup against like a higher tier, like if you have a shit ton of fighting types, maybe you won't bring T-Tar, or if you have Rain or something, you might, emphasize Volcanion. But in this instance, I felt like everything had the potential to be brought, so we had to bring something that, I already said it, but encapsulated for everything. So we have Suicune, which is very standard set with Calm Mind, Sub, Protect, Scald. I don't know, like, off the bat, I don't know the sets very well, but like, it can burn T-Tar and Excadrill. It sets outspeed Adamant Excadrill outside of Sand, obviously, and then that means that it can also outspeed the Volcanion, and if it gets a sub up, it's pretty good at PP stalling the Volcanion. So even though I can't like actually attack the Volcanion, if he stays in thinking that it's somehow a counter because it's Water Absorb, then we actually get some Calm Minds up and we can actually beat it 1v1. Skarmory, I think, is a potential threat because it has the access to Whirlwind, and I think Whirlwind is a decent bring because a lot of my mons have potential set up, particularly the Suicune, and I've already shown D-Dance Latios. We also have the excuse me, the Superior that can get out of hand for it, so I think that Whirlwind Skarmory is a pretty likely bring for this. It's also probably Shed Shell, but we'll get to that when we get to Magnezone. The Superior is, again, pretty much a standard sub Leech Seed, Leaf Storm, Hidden Power Fire. It has it has a fair matchup against what he's brought. He also has, the Zapdos, which it could have been a hassle against, but he opted not to bring the Zapdos, which is fortunate on Superior's part, so we can look at that late game. It outspeeds everything outside of any potential Scarfers, and then Drill and Sand. The Togekiss is... The Togekiss and Latios got changed around a couple times, like right before the match. So Togekiss was originally a lot faster, again, to outspeed Adamant, Drill, and then was Kevia Berry for Poison Jab, Mega Gallade. And so we changed that to be a little bit more bulkier, and it could be potential T-Tar Lure with Chople, and then Aura Sphere can 2-hit KO it. So that's what the EVs were for. I was expecting T-Tar to be basically mid-speed. I didn't really hit that speed tier relatively well, unless I wanted to put a dick ton of speed in like Donphan or something. But we didn't bring Donphan here, so it didn't really matter. The Latios was originally my favorite set because it featured a move that I've never clicked before and did not know what it was up until I was trying to figure out how to beat a T-Tar with Latios. So it was originally Power Split, which averages the base attack and special attack of the opponent, or with the opponent. So if I'm min attack, if I'm 0 EVs, 0 IVs, and then minus attacking nature, I have a pretty good shot at missing the 2-hit KO with Crunch, I believe. I think Crunch and Stone Edge were like kind of wishy-washy, like they were 49% or something. But we had the bulk investment and fared pretty well against that. But we ended up changing it to Psyshock, Toxic, Earthquake, Roost, and so Earthquake was able to 2-hit KO an offensive T-Tar. Like I said, it's probably unlikely bring, but I didn't want to invest too much in attack. The Magnezone is AV with max speed, and then some special attack investment. I think is just to ensure that I KO the Volcanion. And did I already say it was AV? It's AV. So the max special attack, or the max speed, is in order to outspeed Modest Volcanion, I believe outspeed it by 1 point. So that's pretty nice. And then I have Analytic on it because, again, I've seen, the Magnezone Skarmory matchup for 4 years now in Draft League. So, like, if you don't bring Shed Shell Skarmory in this instance, then it's a little bit more sus on your part than, like, me not bringing Magnapole on it. So, yeah, we don't bring Magnapole. We bring Analytic, which, gives us an attack boost with things switching it, which is very nice because he only has 1 electric resist, and that can get pretty heavy damage with Flash Cannon or Hidden Power Fire. And finally, we have a Scarf Aerodactyl. This is going to be a last ditch scenario for like revenge killing things. So it outspeeds the Excadrill and Sand. It'll outspeed everything on his team basically. Earthquake, Stone Edge, Wing Attack, and Stealth Rocks, just in case I baited a switch out, which wasn't going to be likely because, again, he has a Skarmory on this team, so, like, if you were going to switch out anything, it would be a Skarmory, and if I get Rocks up, then he's just going to immediately defog. So there wasn't really a point to have Rocks, but, like, I didn't need a 4th move because Fire Fang does jack shit to the Skarmory. So, yeah, that's just kind of the team rundown. Off the bat, like I said, I think he's he's not like a bulky T-Tar, but I think he has HP investment plus attack. Definitely enough to combat the Mega Latios in any instance. The Glade, some sort of SD set with Stab, and then I originally was pegging it for Poison Jab, but he ends up revealing the Thunder Punch, which is a better play against the Suicune setup, which is a little bit more likely in this scenario. The Volcanion, I wasn't too sure. I've seen some like sub-toxic sets in the past with just the dual stab, but Specs is incredibly difficult to switch into even for like the Suicune. Obviously, I want to keep health on Suicune for things like the Excadrill. The Drill is probably some sort of Z set. Skarmory I already kind of ran down that set, and then Mew I was expecting to be some sort of setup just because he has 2 hazard setters, or actually 3 hazard setters, and removal options. So like defensive Mew really didn't seem to be a reasonable bring in my case. Anyways, we're gonna get off into the game. My only rocker, like I said, is Aerodactyl, so he's probably gonna send something out that at least beats the Aerodactyl, which is most of his team at this moment. It's a revenge killer, so like I need to get chip on everything else in order to bring it in. So I'm going to lead off with Magnezone. It at least pressures out the Skarmory if that wants to be his lead, and I can Volt Switch out on anything really besides these 3 I assume. So anyways, we're going to get this kicked off after probably 5 minutes of me talking about nothing. He's going to lead off Volcanion. On the off chance that this is Timid Specs, we get out of there. I lived every other, let's pause this for a second. I live every other attack that's not Timid Specs, but I also, like, if I took that Flamethrower right there, I'd be down to like 30. I don't want to be down to 30 in any scenario, especially since that's my best response to the Skarmory. So we get out of there. We take only 23%, indicating that he's probably not Specs. So that's pretty cash money. And in comes the T-Tar, that is reasonable play. And just like this, the game is essentially over. So I crit the T-Tar with Earthquake, which means that I'm allowed to 2 KO it. He has enough bulk on it in order. I think the max roll on Earthquake is 49% with my given set, so that can be problematic. He was frustrated with it, obviously. And yeah, so it definitely changed the dynamic of the game because I'm allowed to... I'm basically allowed to beat this T-Tar now, and Latios becomes a lot more valuable in this game. I was envisioning this game plan to kind of... With the knowledge that Mega Latios was at some point going to get trapped by T-Tar. So having this out of the way kind of makes it more valuable. It has a pretty fair matchup against everything else. It can be a primary Volcanion switch in, and Earthquake outside of Sand will be a menace to T-Tar, actually the T-Tar and Drill now. And the Mew ends up not having anything super effective against Latios, which means that it's a pretty good Mew switch in. So overall, it's a pretty good... We found ourselves in a pretty good scenario. It's turn 2 hacks, so like I don't know if it officially mattered, but obviously I would be on the back foot for a lot more of this match because I lost my round 1 pick basically. So we're just gonna go for Earthquake again. He's obviously gonna switch out into Skarmory. He doesn't want to lose the Sand Setter turn 2, so Yeah, Scarman comes in. I think I just go into Magnet Zone. He can double out into Drill if he wanted to, but after getting hacks, I'm sure he didn't really want to risk it. And also he's Shed Shell, so he doesn't like really need to switch out this instance. Like he doesn't fear getting trapped. So it's a fine play. He's still in sturdy range, so I didn't feel the need to go for an electric move because it would be down to sturdy anyway, so it didn't really make much of a difference. So I just go for it in Power Fire. We get 74 off on the Extra Drill, which is pretty nice. I'm going to sub up here on the Extra Drill, switch out into Mew. As Mew comes in, I'm actually pretty scared because I'm not Roar or anything, so like if he does end up setting up, I'm in a bad spot here because his setup is a lot more potent than mine. If he has the access to Psyshock, he would be able to 1v1 the Suicune. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go into the Latios in case he starts setting up. I can Toxic it, and even if I get the Synchronize, it's still better than having a boosted Mew in my face. So I'm going to Roost here because he gave me the opportunity to Roost here as he pops the Genesis Supernova right here, which ends up doing 36. So we're going to be able to Roost all this now. He doesn't reveal any sort of setup move, most likely because I do have a Bisharp on my team, that he has a fighting coverage and then obviously a substitute. So that's 3 moves, and it's whether or not that he has a boosting move or Roost. So either one are potential brinks because a lot of my options are slower than even like a bulky Mew. So I'll let it stay in. I'm gonna Roost again here. No, I'm gonna Toxic here. Oh yeah, and I missed the yeah. So it seemed like a weird play at the time, but like my primary goal was to Toxic the Mew just so I couldn't set up there. But it ended up not really mattering too much. He's gonna go for Drill Peck. I think now I'm just going to go for the Discharge, which seemed pretty free here, as I do get the Paralysis off, which doesn't really matter because this doesn't outspeed. The T-Tar does not outspeed the Magnet Zone. And yeah, so I'm going to Flash Cannon here because that kills, and I'm not going to give a free switch into Drill. Like I said, I think I already predicted his Drill the last Skarmory switch out, so like I didn't expect him to go back and Drill, especially if there wasn't stand up. So yeah, I can predict there because he's not going to go back into the Skarmory. He would potentially fear another electric move, so he's not going to go into Gallade. And, having Drill up in sand is a major offensive presence. So he goes on his Extra Drill, sacks it off, and now in comes a Gallade, which is kind of a bad spot for me. I'm just going to go on Togekiss. This seems pretty useless at this stage. Potentially... I was thinking that like maybe somehow I could live this, especially if you just go straight off for like a close combat or something, but he's actually going to end up SDing here, which is a very good play on his part, and I'm going to lose my Togekiss right here to a Zen Headbutt, or Thunder Punch, sorry, to a Thunder Punch, which is a good play on his part. He's out of range of the Wing Attack from Aerodactyl, but I didn't want to risk the Latios here, because it was basically I have to take 1 hit from anything. I don't want to risk a speed tie, especially if I only got 1 hit off and it was less than, I don't know. Latios seemed to have a better matchup than Aerodactyl for the rest of the game, especially with the presence of Skarmory still around. So yeah, I'm just going to go in here, do Scarf Wing Attack, which is not going to do enough, 74%. If I were some sort of like Life Orb set, I actually would have killed there. But obviously I'm not Life Orb set. Anyway, so this gives me a free setup opportunity for Skarmory, or for Serperior. He's going to switch back into Skarmory. I get a crit there. The 20% with a crit means that he is somewhat specially defensive investment. Whether or not it's max, I'm not too sure. Yeah, because the max, or the low-end crit for fully Fizz Def was 21. So he has to have some sort of special defensive investment. I didn't know if it was like max or, just a little hair bit to counteract a setup Superior or something. Anyways, we're getting out of there. He revealed Drill Peck earlier, so there's no reason for me to stay in. He's not switching out with his Skarmory. It seems on these kind of, he's not doubling out with Skarmory in these situations. So Magnet Zone's still a pretty easy play. Here I kind of misplayed by going for Discharge instead of Volt Switch, because like last time the scenario happened, the Glade was able to come in for free and claim 2 kills. So that's not something that we really want in this this instance. But he's down to 15%, so he can't really set up again. as he goes for the close combat there, kind of realizing that if he sets up and I stay in with the Magnezone, then he's in a pickle because he loses kind of a big offensive pressure when he lost his other big offensive pressure. So he's going to go for close combat here, just 36. And then he's not willing to risk the speed tie. I'm willing to risk the speed tie. So I just go for Side Shot because I want to get that thing out of there. But he switches into Skarmory, which means that I'm free to Roost. Yeah, so I'm just going to Roost this off a little bit, try to get back as close to full as possible so I can take on the Mega Blade for later. He's also going to Roost, so now I want to be able to be in a situation where he's not in Sturdy and I'm in 100% health or close to it. So we're just going to kind of mess around here as, yeah, he's just going to keep on going for Drill Peck, so I have to get him down to a Roost or, and this is this reveal counter. I think at this point I really revealed my full moveset, so I'm not too sure what the counter was for. It could potentially be a misclick, but I'm not too sure. Anyways, it gives me an opportunity because he is not roosted up, and I am at 100% HP, so I can switch out pretty easily, and then I have that in the back for the Glade and potentially the Volcanion, which is kind of sitting nice and pretty in the back right now. So I switch back into Magnezone. He no longer has an electric resist, so I'm able to click Full Switch pretty freely here and knock out the Skarmory. And so that allows us to bring in Mega Latios again. This has the best matchup against everything in the team. Depending on speed ties, I think the Glade could still potentially do something, especially if there's like a critter, whatever, but overall we come out of every exchange of the three with a kill if I bring Mega Latios. So he brings in Glade. He's going to go for the X-Scissor, which does a hefty amount at 64, and we're able to knock it out with Side Shock. So he's going to bring in the Volcanion. Volcanion ends up being Scarf, which makes sense for why he's saving in the back, and potentially would be a better win condition if, you know, if I didn't have Latios and he still had T-Tar, so he had a little bit more sacks and I had a little bit less sacks, because nothing really wants to switch into a single Volcanion hit minus the Suicune, and like I said, Mew probably already beats the Suicune 1v1. So I'm actually going to sack this off. As he goes for Steam Eruption, which means I'm able to bring in my Superior, because he just revealed that he was Scarf there. And I'm able to get I actually just went for a Substitute here, because, I don't know. In either situation, because he went for Steam Eruption there, I don't think there was any scenario where I got out of this without a win, unless there would have to be like some weird choking play like I did last week, where I just randomly switched out of my like +4 Suicune. So we're able to Leaf Storm here, get our boost. He's going to break the sub, which is whatever. We're able to knock this out, and then he's going to go back into his Volcanion, and he has to lock himself into move. And so there's potential that the fire move, I guess, could win, or at least it knocks out 2 of the 3 Pokemon. But we're able to go into Suicune here, and thankfully he went for Fire Blast instead of Flamethrower, so I can pressure stall this a little bit easier. So yeah, we're just going to go behind sub, or yeah, protect sub, do whatever. Could be a dick and just start clicking Scald to make sure that this battle lasts forever, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, we're just going to PP stall here. He's going to start struggling, and that's going to be a good game to Ronin. So yeah, he drops to 3-1. We go up to 3-1. He still has a better diff, but we did make our claim to a playoff spot, which is pretty nice. It just depends on how the rest of the week sorts out. This game is played on Monday, so most of the week 4 games, or all the week 4 games besides that one, has not been played at this moment. So anyways, GG to Ronin. I should actually say I have a new template thing that KMJ provided, so I'm going to link KMJ's information in the description below, because he's been doing a lot of streaming lately, and even though I think most of my subscribers already know who KMJ is, if you don't, please check him out, because he's a very swell guy, and let me into his league. With that, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.